I've been helping people suffering from kidney disease avoiding dialysis for more than 10 years now. And there are 5 steps every single kidney disease patient should be taking if they are in stage 3B or 4, and if they want a 90% success rate of avoiding dialysis for the next 5 to 7 years. If you've been diagnosed with chronic kidney disease, you may have been told that there is nothing you can do to improve. Because some doctors still believe that nothing can stop the progression of kidney disease. But what if I told you that science says otherwise? This study involved more than 400 patients stage 2 to 5 and lasted more than 8 years. Researchers were able to prove without a doubt that even patients in stage 4 and 5 can improve if they follow the right steps. I'll say it again. These patients improved their kidney function in stage 5 of CKD. How, you may ask? Well, they took control of their own health. They followed all the steps needed, including dietary changes, supplementation, medication, adherence, and regular monitoring of kidney function. And this is exactly what I will help you achieve with the 5 steps of today's video, because I've witnessed firsthand the power of taking control of your health. I've seen people improving even when everyone else already told them to give up any hope. Yes, there are 5 steps that I will show you today that will help you take control of your health. Let's see how to do this. Before we start, a quick disclaimer. Please don't change your diet nor take any supplement without consulting your nephrologist first. Let's start with the first step now. Step 1. Take control of oxalates. If you follow me here regularly, you probably already know that following a diet rich in fruit and veggies is key to improve kidney function. But many patients are confused about what can be present in a renal diet and what must be avoided. And while many plant-based foods that were once off limits are now allowed, especially those with high levels of potassium or phosphorus, one category is still considered somehow dangerous: foods rich in oxalates. Now, this is the big category. Foods high in oxalates include spinach, rhubarb, Swiss chard, beets, berries, tea, nuts, some of the healthiest foods out there. Yeah, oxalates are naturally occurring compounds in many plant-based foods, and they are well known for their ability to form crystals or kidney stones when consumed in excess or when an individual is susceptible to the condition. And I will never tell you to stop eating all the foods rich in oxalate, because they are some of the healthiest veggies out there. But it's also true that for people with hyperoxaluria and for people with a water allowance, foods rich in oxalate can pose a danger. So question, what can you do to avoid the danger of oxalates? Without avoiding high oxalate foods, obviously. First of all, moderation. It may not be necessary to completely eliminate oxalates from your diet, but if you know what they are, you can make sure you are not overeating them. And also eat oxalate foods with calcium-rich foods. Calcium-rich foods can help bind oxalates in the digestive system, reducing absorption. And also boil your veggies. Boiling vegetables can leach oxalates out into the water. Now, a little known tip. Try pumpkin seeds. By eating more pumpkin seeds, you can decrease your risk for calcium oxalate stones. Most important tip. Make sure you are drinking enough water. If you don't have a water allowance, ensuring you are adequately hydrated is essential in preventing the concentration of oxalates. Now, the other thing that helps is fiber, especially soluble. Studies have suggested incorporating foods high in soluble fiber may help lower the absorption of oxalates. But fiber can help much more than just reducing oxalate absorption. This is actually our next step to protect the kidneys. Step 2. Use fiber to get rid of uremic toxins. Today's medical literature is strongly supporting the possibility of removing uremic toxins through the gut in people with kidney disease. Uremic toxins such as creatinine, urea, and nitrogen are the cause of the symptoms associated with kidney disease, and it shouldn't be a surprise since the kidneys are the organ supposed to remove uremic toxins. Now, what you should know is that Most of these toxins are produced in the gut by the food we eat. And while you can reduce the number of toxins produced by eating less protein, it's also recommended to take advantage of the ability of dietary fiber of trapping and removing these toxins. To achieve this very important result, many types of fiber can be used, but the most effective, in my opinion, is acacia fiber. Acacia fiber is so powerful when it comes to removing uremic toxins that it was given to people in stage 5 who wanted to avoid end-stage renal failure. Those patients were able to benefit from up to 8 years of freedom from dialysis despite being in stage 5. Acacia fiber is also very easy to use. You just need to mix 2 to 4 tablespoons a day in enough water, at least a couple of large glasses per day, and to take it before the main meals. Or you can add it to a smoothie. Third step, this is crucial to reduce the risk of ending up in dialysis. There is a vitamin you absolutely need to keep in the right level if you want to protect your kidneys. It's a proven fact that having a deficiency in this vitamin will make kidney disease progress faster. On the other hand, keeping levels of this vitamin in the correct range through supplementation is one of the best things someone with kidney disease can do to lower their creatinine levels according to studies. So our step number 3 is keep vitamin D levels in the right range. Wait a moment. Now you may ask, Catherine, are you seriously telling us that just supplementing a single vitamin is a step to actually decrease our risk of end-stage kidney failure and dialysis? Well, it's a bit more complicated than that. About 80% of people with kidney problems have vitamin D deficiency. This is why there are studies supporting the idea that just supplementing vitamin D can make a difference, as we can see here. But you see, given the kidney's involvement in activating vitamin D inside the body, I would personally go one step further and make sure that my levels are in the right range. How can you do that? The 25-hydroxyvitamin D test is the most accurate way to measure how much vitamin D is in your body, and anything below 30 nanograms per milliliter is considered insufficient or borderline deficient. If you see this level in your results, you must take action. How to supplement vitamin D? Now, vitamin D is not the easiest to supplement. For some people, it's enough to take around 2000 IU of vitamin D per day, coupled with 100 milligrams vitamin K2 and of course, some magnesium. Others, especially those in the more advanced stages, will need either calcitriol or paricalcital. Paricalcital and calcitriol are both prescription forms of activated vitamin D. They are used to treat vitamin D deficiency in people with kidney disease. So always make sure that you are being tested for vitamin D levels and, if needed, address a deficiency. A question now, how can you have a 90% chance of success in reversing the decline of GFR? Imagine if you could reverse the decline of your kidney function and avoid dialysis or transplant. Imagine if you could live a longer and healthier life with your own kidneys. Well, I'm here to tell you that it is possible, and I have the scientific evidence to back it up. According to the study we saw earlier, a large number of stage 4 and 5 CKD patients who followed a comprehensive lifestyle intervention program were able to improve their kidney function, to delay dialysis by years. This program included steps similar to those I've shown you in today's video. What was the secret behind this remarkable success rate? It was not magic or luck. It was simply taking control of your own health. Taking control of your own health means making informed decisions about what you eat, how you move, and how you treat your kidneys. It means giving your body the respect and care it deserves. It means being proactive and not passive about your health. Now guys, it goes without saying that not every single kidney disease patient is always going to be able to avoid end-stage renal disease. But it's clear that science tells us that avoiding it is possible, and that you can do it no matter the stage you are in, if you take control of your own health. But if you think these tips are not enough, well, you still haven't seen the 2 most important steps you can follow to reverse GFR decline. Step 4. Beat what's causing it. Okay, this is probably the most important step, because when it comes to kidney health, there is no improving if we don't stop the cause of the damage. And it's not a secret that close to 1 out of 2 CKD sufferers has diabetes. Diabetes is the #1 cause of kidney disease. Treating it means treating kidney disease for so many patients. And it was believed for a long time that those who suffered from diabetes for 6 years or more couldn't go into remission. But now things have changed. Thanks to this new study, it's finally proven that even patients who had type 2 diabetes for 11 years can reverse it. So question, what can be done to beat diabetes naturally? When dealing with type 2 diabetes, the first resource should always be the diet. As this recent study shows, the diet alone can be enough to get diabetes into remission. But there is obviously more you can do to achieve this result. There are a few supplements that are proven to help. One that I can confidently recommend is apple cider vinegar. Raw unfiltered ACV is the best friend of people with diabetes, and I always recommend consuming it before meals. Several studies show that consuming real ACV can significantly increase insulin response and lower blood sugar levels, with great benefit for the kidneys and not just for people with diabetes. But there is more. ACV is also a valid weight loss tool. In this study, the participants drank 15 milliliters of ACV with lunch and dinner. Researchers found out that they lost almost double the weight compared to the control group, which is frankly amazing knowing how much of an impact can weight loss have on diabetes and kidney health. But don't go away yet, it's time to take a look at one of the most significant advancements in the field of nephrology of the last years. Step 5. Make your diet easy. In a breakthrough trial, 120 people with CKD stage 3B and 4 were offered to participate in an intervention group to change their lives. This constituted of a 15 minutes individual class about the renal diet followed by some lectures. They were taught about protein, fat, and carbohydrate intake, kidney-friendly foods, recipes, and, well, many of the things I actually talk about here on the channel. And just by learning that, they were able to improve their GFR. So yeah, imagine this, you are in stage 4 of CKD, and just by learning more about the renal diet, your kidney function starts to improve. Yes, this really happened. Even more incredible, they reached this result with just a diet that's super easy to follow. It's not even that low on protein, which means that patients didn't need keto analogs, for example, or strict monitoring from a doctor. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? In this video, how 120 people with CKD stage 3 and 4 reversed the decline of their GFR just by following a 15 minutes class. Catherine here, you're in for a treat today because I have an amazing study to share with you that I've never mentioned on the channel before. In this trial, 120 people with CKD were offered to participate in an intervention group to change their lives. The intervention was a 15 minutes individual class about the renal diet followed by some lectures. The topics covered were nutrition requirements, recommended food portions, renal exchange lists, cooking issues, renal recipes, and, well, many of the things I actually talk about here on the channel. So question, is this enough to make a difference in stage 4 kidney disease? Can you really change your life in 15 minutes? Well, people in this trial had an incredible result with this strategy. After 24 weeks from the initiation of the intervention, on average, their GFR improved by 2.8 points. And well, that's an amazing result because when you are in stage 3 or 4, your GFR is supposed to decline over time, not to improve. I mean, this is what many doctors still believe today, at least. But you probably already know that I'm not on the same page. Now, what's even more interesting here is that they achieved this incredible improvement without the need for any expensive or hard-to-find supplements such as keto analogs. I mean, they didn't even use the cheap but effective supplements I usually recommended here, such as acacia fiber or a probiotic. No, they did this with just a diet that's super easy to follow. It's not even that low on protein. Interesting, isn't it? By the way, this is a randomized controlled trial that was published on the British Journal of Nutrition, a very respectable paper in 2022. So I bet you want to dig deeper now. Let's see what they did exactly to achieve the incredible result of reversing the decline of GFR in people in stage 3 and 4 of CKD. Just a quick disclaimer before we start. Please don't change your diet without consulting your nephrologist. So very first point here is protein intake. Now guys, if you follow me here regularly, you know that I'm an advocate for the low protein diet in people with kidney issue. And what I usually recommend is a very low protein diet in people without diabetes and supplementation with keto analogs. But this comes with some limitation. It's a tough diet to follow, especially because you are supposed to follow it for an indefinite amount of time. And keto analogs are not cheap and you must take them with a very low protein diet. But hey, it works better than anything else if your priority is to keep or improve your kidney function for as long as possible. Now, if you don't like the idea of eating almost no protein at all, there is good news coming from this study. Because while they limited protein intake in the intervention group, they did not follow a very low protein diet. So they didn't need keto analogs and they didn't need to completely stop eating anything containing protein. As we can see here, protein was limited to 0.75 grams per kilograms of body weight, not to 0.55 to 0.6 grams like the current guideline recommends. What this means is that those in the intervention group were able to improve their kidney function while still eating some high-protein foods. Let's take a look. Now, this is very interesting. With the aim of limiting phosphorus intake without reducing protein intake too much, the test subjects were instructed to replace meat with egg white. So no meat, alright, and this is not news, but frankly, it's not very usual to see egg whites recommended. The reasoning here is that they have very low phosphorus, and this is important. So only meat and other high phosphorus foods such as fish, poultry, and foods containing phosphate additives were completely forbidden here. Other foods containing phosphorus such as nuts, legumes, and dairy were limited but not completely avoided. What the researchers wanted to achieve was a diet that was easy to follow but effective. And while this study was done on non-diabetics, even those with diabetes can follow this protein restriction. And, well, it worked! Now you may ask, what does this diet look like in practice? What did they actually eat? So there is this table here that tells us really a lot about what they are eating on a daily basis. It's all in serving size, so it's also very easy to interpret. What we can see here is that those who improved their kidney function had every day 4 servings of vegetables and 4 servings of fruits. The serving size for fruits and vegetables is about 4 to 6 ounces. So yeah, they are eating a lot of fruit and veggies here. And also of cereals. We're talking 8 to 9 servings per day here. 1 serving of cereal is 30 to 45 grams or about 1 to 1.5 ounces. So as we can see here, those in the intervention group were told to eat mostly carbs. These must come from whole grain especially and from fruit and vegetables. Sugar was restricted. Fat intake from saturated and trans fats was also restricted in favor of unsaturated fats. Nothing groundbreaking, right? And this is what makes it special. It worked without making people follow a diet that was too strict. Another important thing to notice here, the caloric intake. In this study, those who improved their kidney function followed a normal caloric diet, which means that they didn't lose nor gain body weight during the 24 weeks of the trial. And this is important because changes in body weight may influence kidney function. So restrict protein, restrict especially high phosphorus foods, and keep calories normal. This is what worked for them. A very interesting result of this diet is the reduction in blood pressure. As the authors pointed out, a significant reduction in blood pressure was achieved mainly, but not just, thanks to a reduction in sodium intake. Here, sodium was restricted to less than 2,000 milligrams per day, which is a very low amount of sodium, but not really different from what's usually recommended. But the authors believe that there is more to the results in terms of improved blood pressure they got than just sodium. Because you see, they believe that reducing protein intake can also help with blood pressure because it helps the kidneys work better. And then there is potassium and fiber. Now this is interesting. In this study, those in the intervention group were told to increase their consumption of fruits and vegetables, which is also great for blood pressure other than kidney health in general, because eating more fruit and veggies inevitably means an increased potassium intake. What is interesting is that none of those who increased their dietary potassium intake suffered from hyperkalemia or too high potassium levels. Those following this better diet had, on the other hand, an improvement in blood pressure. Researchers believe that this was due to the increased potassium intake combined with the reduced protein intake and the reduced sodium intake. And well, that's amazing because they can now reduce their need for hypertension medications. Great to protect the kidneys because you see, many medications can have negative effects on kidney health. Yes, many prescriptions are dangerous, but this is not the topic of today's video. Now guys, back to the table for a moment. What I want you to notice is that when reducing protein intake and fat intake, there is just one energy source that's left: carbohydrates. Most of the calories consumed every day in people who improved their renal function was coming from carbohydrates here. And while this study was not conducted on people with diabetes, we know today that anyone with kidney disease, including those with diabetes, must limit their protein intake. That is, if they plan to keep or improve their kidney function. Because, yeah, you can eat hamburgers and fries every day if you don't mind ending up in dialysis. And now you may ask, what about people with diabetes? Can this diet work for them too? Well, as I was saying, this study was not conducted on those with diabetes. If I were planning a diet for someone with diabetes, I would personally restrict carbs, especially sugar, more than what they did here, probably adding more healthy fats. But you see, many of their findings of this study can be applied to people with diabetes too, even the part about carbohydrates. If you have CKD, you can improve as long as you follow the right diet. These are the foods you must eat. If you have kidney disease, there are two types of foods: those that damage the kidneys and those that will help them. Today, I want to share with you the easiest guide possible to find the right foods for you. And when it comes to treating kidney disease with the diet, there is one category of foods that should always be your #1 dietary staple: low GI carbs, especially plant-based, single ingredient, and processed foods. These are the foods that 100% of the kidney disease patients that were able to improve their kidney function were eating. This is what I'm going to focus on today. But we will also see some of the best high biological value protein sources, the best essential fat sources, and more. But you see, many kidney disease patients are still confused today about what they should eat. Is potassium good or bad for you now? Should you avoid carbs or should you avoid fats? And more. Time to put an end to that. But I'm wondering, who can tell us what foods are good and what foods are bad for the kidneys? Okay. Science can tell us. You see, there is a recent study in which 120 patients in stage 3 and 4 reversed the decline of their GFR reliably, just thanks to a very easy diet. On average, all of them increased their GFR, lowered their uric acid, lowered their creatinine, lowered their bond, lowered their blood pressure, and enhanced their quality of life. So what did they eat in this study? Well, as we can clearly see here, carbs were their main source of calories, okay? And science is very clear on this. People with kidney disease, diabetics included, must have carbohydrates as their main source of calories. This is only if they want to improve, alright? It's clear that if you don't mind ending up in dialysis in the next few months or years, eating steak and fries with some Coke is always an option. But I don't recommend it. Let's see instead what you can eat in order to improve. Some of the best carb sources out there include starchy veggies, such as beets. Beets are, in my opinion, one of the healthiest veggies out there. A must for kidney patients because they also help lowering blood pressure. They are also naturally high in nitrates, a very powerful vasodilator. Another carb source I recommend, red potatoes. Potatoes are rich in nutrients and fiber. They are a gluten-free carb sources that's also low on the GI scale, especially if you cook them the right way. Choose red potatoes if you are diabetic. They are lower on the GI scale than regular potatoes. Potatoes are high in potassium, so keep that in mind if your doctor hasn't figured out how to treat this issue yet. And also consider corn. Contrary to popular belief, corn does not cause any unhealthy spike in your blood sugar levels. Corn is rich in fiber, great to help absorbing sugar and carbs more slowly. Turnips are also great for a renal diet. Turnips contain several anti-inflammatory plant compounds associated with disease-fighting properties. These root vegetables are loaded with fiber and vitamin C. They are also a decent source of vitamin B6 and manganese. Carrots are also great because they are full of fiber and they also contain beta-carotene. Beta-carotene, the water-soluble form of vitamin A, helps the kidneys filter toxins out of the blood and it may even help prevent urinary tract infections, according to studies. And also, winter squash. Another food that was on the forbidden list for too long, but that's actually a good source of fiber and carbs. Because keep in mind that getting carbs from veggies is the best thing you can do to protect your kidneys. Not only these foods are all very rich in fiber, which is key for better kidney health, they also come with many health benefits than you can get anywhere else. But you see, they are also very low in calories, which is important. If you have diabetes or if you need to lose weight, eating foods that make you feel full without being caloric dense is the way to go. Wait, now what you may ask is, aren't these vegetables actually safe for people with diabetes? Shouldn't we eat more meat instead? Well, you see, while there are many influencers out there that are still trying to sell liver pills and books about eating raw animals, science is not on the same page. We know today that type 2 diabetes can actually be reversed, but not if you base your diet on red and processed meat. There is only one thing that really matters in order to reverse type 2 diabetes. Caloric restriction. That's all you need. Tons of studies are proving this. Now, these statements you see are coming from an article published on the BMJ, by the way, one of the most important health journals in the world. But why is caloric restriction so important? In medical literature, every single case of diabetic patient reversing the disease was done by losing weight. So you can't reverse diabetes without weight loss. And the only way to reliably achieve weight loss through caloric restriction is eating lots of fruits and veggies because they will make you feel full, but they are way less caloric dense than basically anything else. So don't trust people telling you to eat meat in order to control your diabetes. That doesn't work. What we know today about diabetes is that in order to reverse it, around 60% of your daily calories must come from carbohydrates. Even more than 60% if you also have kidney disease. Science is extremely clear on that, alright? And while I don't just want to focus on carbs today, it's clear that they are going to be the biggest part of this video because they should also be the biggest part of your diet. Science is extremely clear on that. Now, We have seen a few veggies that will be perfect for people with kidney disease and or diabetes. Time now to see some high-carb foods that are especially good for CKD patients in the advanced stages. These are going to be more caloric dense than veggies, alright? So if your goal is not to lose weight, focus on whole grains. These are some low GI complex carbs that are exceptionally healthy, such as bulgur. Bulgur is one of the whole grain wheat products that are the lowest in phosphorus, and this is crucial for people with kidney disease. This nutritious grain is a good source of B vitamins, magnesium, iron, and manganese. It's also full of dietary fiber, which is important for the digestive tract. Make it a regular on your table. Another whole grain, low both on the GI scale and in phosphorus, is wild rice. Wild rice is not really rice, it's a whole grain. This means that it has a lower glycemic index and a lot more fiber, nutrients, and vitamins compared to any other type of rice. It's also lower in phosphorus than brown rice, and it comes with many health benefits. Wild rice can contain as much as 30 times the antioxidants as white rice. Now guys, many other options are available when it comes to grains. Many patients also eat pasta and rice and bread as a part of their diet. These foods may be useful to reach your target of calories and carbohydrates every day. Now, especially for people following a very low protein diet, another great addition may be appetite pasta. Appetite pasta is a product especially developed for people with kidney problems. But why do kidney patients need a special type of pasta? Like almost any food, pasta is not just a carb source, it also contains some protein. And while some self-called experts will tell you to limit carbs, what people with CKD actually need to limit is protein intake, says current guideline. This is why removing the low quality protein you will get from pasta, for example, may be the winning strategy. But if you can't find this product, don't worry, there are other carb sources you can consider, such as, for example, fruits. It's hard to go wrong with fruits. Most fruit is healthy for you with few exceptions. I mean, someone with diabetes may prefer to avoid high GI fruits such as ripe bananas and pineapple. Especially don't eat them in large amounts without anything else to slow down digestion. And also people suffering from hyperkalemia may also prefer to avoid high potassium fruits. You know what they are. However, it's important to keep in mind that while avoiding such fruits may help a little bit prevent the condition from worsening, it does not address the root cause of the problem. Avoiding these fruits is not enough to treat your condition. You still need to find out what is causing your potassium levels to be high, alright? That's what nephrologists are for. Now my advice when it comes to fruit is to eat what you like. Really. I still want to show you some of the best fats and protein sources you can find, because there are only 3 food groups we can get nourishment from: carbs, fats, and protein. And you obviously need all of them in your diet. Now, as we can see here, fats are the second most important food group for people with kidney disease, and they are essential. You cannot live without them. Fats are also critical to manage caloric intake. You see, 1 gram of carbs has 4 calories, but 1 gram of fats has 9 calories. As a graphic representation, this you see here is 200 calories from peanut butter compared to 200 calories from honeydew melon. But which one of these do you think will make you feel more full? Now, we can use fats as a tool, alright? We can reduce fat intake in order to lose weight, or we can increase fat intake if we are struggling to keep on weight. But in any case, when it comes to fats, we must make sure that we are getting our fats from healthy sources. So what foods rich in healthy fats are good for those with kidney disease? Some examples include almonds. Almonds are an amazing superfood. They are great because they are so rich in magnesium. Magnesium is key for kidney health. It fights high blood pressure, lowers inflammation, and fights diabetes. Unfortunately, having a deficiency in this nutrient is just as common as it is dangerous. So eat more almonds. And also, flaxseed. Now, flaxseed comes with an amazing benefit. This small seed is incredibly anti-inflammatory. Eating flaxseed regularly protects the kidneys, especially in those with inflammatory kidney disease. There are studies showing that flaxseed can improve GFR in this case thanks to its impressive anti-inflammatory properties. Another food that has been shown to be able to lower creatine levels in literature is Brazil nuts. This incredible superfood will help you for a completely different reason than the other foods we've seen. Brazil nuts are incredibly rich in selenium. This is a mineral which is often deficient in many people, and this deficiency is known to damage the kidneys. Just remember that you want to add just maximum 2 Brazil nuts per day. Another fat source with incredible benefits, olive oil. Olive oil really is healthy for everyone, especially if you can find extra virgin olive oil. Just 2 tablespoons a day of extra virgin olive oil have shown to improve HDL cholesterol levels in recent studies and to help with insulin sensitivity. This superfood also boasts great anti-inflammatory properties, and we have seen how important it is to have foods with anti-inflammatory properties in the diet. And also consider coconut. This fruit is great especially for people with diabetes. It doesn't contain as much carbs as it contains fats, so consume it in moderation, and also keep in mind that coconut is rich in potassium. Now, much of the fat in coconut is in the form of medium-chain triglycerides or MCTs. This is the only form of fat that the body can use as an immediate source of energy, a bit like carbs, but without any insulin spike at all. MCTs are so healthy for the kidneys, especially in case of diabetes, that you can also get them in oil form to supplement your diet. Studies say they may improve insulin resistance and help overweight people lose weight. And you can also use coconut oil for cooking. It's one of the best cooking oils you can find. Now, bonus food, avocado. Avocados are rich in vitamin C, E, K, and B6, as well as riboflavin, niacin, folate, pantothenic acid, and magnesium. They truly are nutrition powerhouses. Avocados are also so rich in antioxidant and anti-inflammatory compounds they can protect from oxidative damage, which is associated with the progression of diseases. Avocados are also very rich in fats, just like coconuts, and in potassium. And just like coconuts, this super healthy fruit was banned for the renal diet for too long. Many patients know today that they can actually eat these 2 foods without worrying too much. Now, when it comes to fats, it's also clear that there are unhealthy foods we want to avoid. Anything containing trans fats should be banned from your table. So look at the labels of what you are buying and make sure they don't contain any partially hydrogenated oils. That's how they call trans fats on food labels. In the US, the FDA actually banned the use of partially hydrogenated oils as ingredient, but you can still find them if you are from another country. So be particularly careful about this ingredient if you buy foods such as snacks, fried foods, shortenings, and margarines. Okay, just one food group missing now, protein. Now the biggest question is, which foods contain the best protein for kidney health? Now, this is still today a conundrum of the renal diet because we know that protein from plant-based foods is accompanied with less phosphorus, which is key to protect the kidneys. But when it comes to kidney health, it's also important to eat as much high biological value protein as possible and as little low biological value protein as possible. High biological value proteins contain all the 10 essential amino acids, which means that the body doesn't create as much waste from eating it. And also that, well, you now have all the amino acids you need to survive. Now the problem. Animal-based protein is high biological value, while plant-based protein is low biological value. How can we solve this? This is the number one reason why CKD patients cannot improve, says science. Despite all their efforts, most kidney patients are not able to improve their GFR numbers. This recent study says that his dietary staple may be the key to solve this problem. Catherine here. I've been working with people suffering from kidney disease for more than 10 years now. And if there is one thing that I've learned is that focusing on what actually works is key to help people get better. This is what I want to do today. So let's talk about what really matters when it comes to stopping and even reversing the progression of kidney disease. This recent study found out the number one reason why most CKD patients cannot improve their kidney health, despite all their efforts. So if you are doing everything you can to improve your GFR numbers but nothing seems to work, this may be the reason. So question, what is the reason why most CKD patients cannot improve? One of the most authoritative studies about kidney disease seems to have found the key to the renal diet. This paper, published in the B&C Nephrology, has outlined what can be considered the number one problem with the renal diet. Let's read it directly from this study. For most patients with CKD, it is difficult to control their DPI, daily protein intake, as per the standard range, even under the guidance of registered dietitians. Don't worry if this part is not clear, I'll explain better in a moment. The modification of diet in renal disease study, MDRD, found that average DPI reached 0.77 grams per kilograms per day under strict guidance, contrasting with the desired value of 0.58 grams per kilograms per day in the LPD group. So what these researchers mean here is that while CKD patients are supposed to eat as little as 0.58 grams per kilograms per day of protein, which is a very small amount of protein, most of them are simply not able to do so, even if they try. And this can definitely frustrate any effort at improving kidney function. In fact, a large study proved that even when guided by registered dietitians, patients on average were eating 0.77 grams per kilograms per day of protein. And that's a lot more protein than what a patient in stage 3B to 5 pre-dialysis is supposed to eat. Now guys, if you think that you may be eating too much protein, don't worry. First of all, this is not your fault. This diet is still relatively new and even dietitians are failing to make it work, as we have seen. And most importantly, the study I want to focus on today is not about the issue. It is about the solution. Yes, these scientists believe they can improve your renal diet at the point of stopping or reversing the decline of your GFR just by focusing on what they call low protein staple foods. Easy to prepare, easy to eat foods that you can add to your diet to greatly decrease your protein intake and protect your kidneys. Now guys, we will see what low protein staple foods are recommended in this study in a moment. Before that, very important question. Is the low protein diet actually proven to help stop kidney disease? Well, today there is solid scientific proof that everyone with kidney disease needs to limit their protein intake if they want to improve their GFR. At the point that today, the guidance, the rule book for the diet for kidney disease, not only says that patients must restrict their protein intake, it even prescribes low to very low amounts of protein to basically anyone with CKD. And well, when a dietary therapy becomes the rule to follow, there must be a good reason, right? Part of this reason is a very large review of studies published on the Cochrane Library that proved that following a low protein diet reduces the chances of ending up in dialysis. Studies are also proving that reducing protein intake reduces proteinuria, cholesterol levels, phosphorus levels, hypertension, metabolic acidosis. It even helps with anemia and other complications of CKD. Because, well, this is a diet that protects the kidneys and makes them work better. And yes, we are really close now to a consensus in the medical field when it comes to the low protein diet. There is just a reason why today there are still CKD patients not following a low protein diet. The low protein diet, or LPD in short, works, no doubt about it, at the point that today studies are not focusing anymore on if it works, but they are now thinking about how to make it work for everyone. Because you see, there is one main objection to the LPD today. What naysayers will tell you about this kidney-saving diet is that following a LPD is too complicated. This diet has too many restrictions. It's too hard to set up and it's too hard to stick to it. This is what some doctors are still telling their patients, by the way. And also to, well, prepare for dialysis. But I bet you don't want to do that, right? You would prefer to follow a diet rather than to start dialysis. I mean, you wouldn't be here otherwise, right? But you know, the renal diet must be followed in a very thorough way for it to work. And as I was saying, most CKD patients in MDRD study, a large study about the adherence to the LPD, were found to be unable to stick to the prescribed daily intake of protein. So they weren't able to improve. But don't worry, they actually found a solution. Researchers actually found a way to make the low-protein diet work for everyone, giving a chance to all patients to avoid dialysis. So what's the solution that makes this kidney-saving diet work? It's actually rather simple. This is a principle I love to apply to my videos too when it comes to the diet. In this study, researchers requested the patients taking 250 grams low-protein rice per day or low-protein flour as a low-protein staple food diet instead of regular staple food daily. Yes, this is what I call focusing on what works. So instead of giving people a long list of foods to avoid, these researchers gave them staple foods such as flour or rice that are made to be lower in protein than the regular flour or rice that you can buy at the grocery store. And well, it worked. Participants in this study were able to greatly reduce their protein intake and protect their kidneys just by eating these low-protein food staples every day. And well, it's amazing how simple and effective this strategy is, because just avoiding high-protein foods doesn't work. This is where low-protein staple foods come in handy. They are what can make this diet work, because you still need to eat enough calories every day. You don't want to lose weight if you have CKD in the advanced stages. But you can't do that if you don't know what to eat. And well, all the most common carbohydrate sources such as rice, pasta, bread, anything made from flour, they all have some protein in them. This is why most patients find it hard to limit protein intake. I mean, they still have to eat something, right? And scientists found out that giving patients foods with no protein in them was the best way to help the patient get enough calories every day without eating too much protein. Yes, this is literally the easiest way in the world to improve your kidney function. So, question, what low-protein staple foods were used in this study? So, the study was done in Japan, and naturally they focused more on rice, which is the main staple food in many Asian countries. Now, the problem with rice is that it is relatively rich in protein. 100 grams of white rice contain about 7 grams of protein. The rice they use in this study, on the other hand, is produced by a Japanese brand food called Forica Foods. They specialize in medical foods, and thanks to a proprietary procedure, they are able to produce rice and noodles with just 0.1 to 0.83 grams of protein per 100 grams. So, a lot less protein than what you will get from regular rice. Keep in mind that someone with kidney disease is supposed to consume only 20 to 35 grams of protein per day, depending on body weight. And while rice is not a high protein food, when you get 7 grams here, 7 grams there, it quickly adds up and you end up eating more than you want, as we have seen. This is especially important because foods like rice, pasta, grains, legumes do not have high quality protein, and studies are showing that when you are limiting protein intake, it is better to eat more high quality protein like that you can get from egg whites, for example. So the idea here is simple. Patients eat this rice and they get the calories they need without getting too much low quality protein. Now you may ask, I'm not in Japan. How do I find low protein food staples? Well, Japan is not the only country in the world that adopted the low-protein diet for kidney disease decades ago. In Italy, we also use low-protein foods such as staple of the renal diet. But we don't make rice, we make pasta here. There are at least 3 brands that produce low-protein or no-protein pasta, and some of them also export these products. Low-protein pasta is a zero or very low-protein alternative to pasta that tastes as good as regular pasta. And since low-protein pasta is especially developed for people with kidney problems, it is also very low in potassium and phosphorus. Actually, some brands also fortify this pasta with renal vitamins. Talking about brands, this pasta is pretty easy to find here in Italy. This is Amazon.it. You can find almost any type of low-protein pasta here, but you can also find low-protein cookies, bread, and more. They ship in Europe, so if you are anywhere in Europe, you should have no problems. It may be trickier if you live in places where low-protein diets were not the norm for people with kidney problems. However, this is a brand called Aperten. Some websites in the US, Canada, and Australia carry it. Another brand is called Flavis. This one actually ships only in the US. This brand is called Loprofin and ships in Australia and New Zealand. I haven't found anything in the Philippines nor in India, so if any of you guys know about low-protein pasta brands in these countries, please let me know in comment section. Now, a very important question you may ask: what if I cannot find these products or they are too expensive for me? Guys, even if you don't have access to this kind of low-protein food staples, don't worry. You can still benefit from the findings of these very important papers, and you can still improve your diet, thus improving your kidney function. Because their results can be replicated just by focusing on low-protein staple foods you can actually buy at the grocery store. Some staple foods with very low protein content that are suitable for someone with kidney disease are all fruits except dried fruits. Fruits are rich in antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and fiber, and can help lower blood pressure and inflammation. Apples, bananas, berries, grapes, melons, oranges, pears, they are all very low on protein. And all vegetables except peas, beans, and corn. These vegetables are also high in antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and fiber, and can help prevent constipation and lower blood pressure. And they are low on protein and safe for a renal diet, just like many sources of healthy fats such as olive oil and avocados. Healthy fats can help lower cholesterol and inflammation and provide energy and essential fatty acids. Olive oil is a good source of monounsaturated fat and antioxidants, while avocados are rich in vitamins and fiber, all very low in protein and great to protect the kidneys. These foods can be combined in different ways to create delicious and nutritious dishes that are low in protein. You can make a fruit salad with your favorite fruits and a dressing of lemon juice and honey. You can roast or steam your favorite vegetables and drizzle some olive oil and vinegar over them. You can mash some avocados with garlic and lime juice to make a guacamole dip for your tortilla chips or raw vegetables. Okay, and now you may ask, but Catherine, the main finding you showed us today is that most patients cannot follow the prescribed limit for protein intake. How can I make sure I'm not making the same mistake? Well, the answer is this: 100% free up. This is something I recommend everyone with kidney disease actually. It's a better way of managing your diet than just following a diet prescribed to you by a dietitian. It's an app called Chronometer. It's a very complete diet app actually, and it's simple to use once you get the hang of it. You basically just weigh everything you eat on a kitchen scale and you input the food and the weight into the app. What this app gives you is the total of the calories, protein, carbohydrates, and fats you are getting every day. Yeah, it takes some extra time at first, but I still recommend doing this after reading the study today's video is all about. Plus, you will also know how much sodium, potassium, and phosphorus, and well, all the other vitamins and minerals you are getting every day. You can also scan the tag of packaged foods items and the app will automatically add them. I personally use these kind of apps every day because I want to track my macros for my diet. There are various free or freemium apps you can use: NutritionX, MyFitnessPal, Chronometer, Lucid, and more. They all do a similar job, but the one I actually use is Chronometer because it comes in a free version that lets me do everything I need. And well, in my opinion, for someone with kidney disease, making 100% sure that they are getting the right amount of protein every day is completely worth the hassle of having to weigh everything and putting everything in the app. And guys, if you want to learn more about the best foods for the renal diet, this video up here is for you. And this is all for today. Thank you for watching. God bless you all. Bye.